Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another fine, cool, windy day. But the sun is shining. It's peeking through the clouds right now, and hopefully it'll keep doing that off and on today. Hey, it's Testy Tuesday, and we are going to have a very fun type of test today. It's going to be about the book of Ezekiel. Now, Ezekiel is one of the three big prophets. Big meaning all their words and works were described on a scroll. Each one had their own scroll. That's how much they had to say. So you have Ezekiel, Jeremiah, and Isaiah. Now Ezekiel can be divided up simply in three different parts. The first part are a lot of words against the people themselves, the people of God, for being unfaithful, and why judgment's now coming upon them. Then there's a shorter section where there is judgment pronounced against all the nations that surround Judea and Israel, and just saying how bad they are. And then the last part is a whole section on words of hope for the people. So, hey, let's get to Testy Tuesday. You can also say that there are, even though there's a lot of different visions within visions, there are four main visions, and we're going to talk about one of those today. Now, I want to ask you, I'm going to give you examples of visions. You tell me which one comes from the book of Isaiah. Let's say Ezekiel. Which one of these comes from Ezekiel? All right. How about, I saw a great cloud come down, and then out of that cloud were these four living creatures, and they had four faces each and four wings, and there's these wheels all over the place too, and they're wheels within wheels. And then God told me to, here, eat this, and he gave me a scroll and told me I had to eat his words and then proclaim them to the people. And okay, so that's the first one. A great cloud with all these different creatures coming out of it. How about this? I saw a figure that looked like a human being, but man, he was standing on this big ball of fire, and there's this great light coming down from above and shining on him. And the figure told me to go over to the wall next to the temple and dig right through it. And I dug through it, and on the other side it's a secret room, and it's all the bad stuff that the priests and the Levites, they were hiding from God, because hey, this room is in secret, he'll never see us doing these things there. Okay, so that's number two. I figure it looked like a human being that was on fire. Okay, then how about this one? The Lord took me out and set me down in this valley, and the valley was filled with a bunch of bones. Yeah, people that were dead and gone, and their bones are all dried up and just laying scattered everywhere. And God told me to prophesy to the bones and say, bones, come back to life. And all of a sudden the bones started rattling and shaking and making all this noise, and they joined together to form people again. And then God told me to prophesy to the winds and say, breath, come back into the people, and they all came back alive again. Okay, so you have this valley filled with dried bones. All right, how about this one? I looked, and wow, I saw this man standing in front of me. He was so bright. He shone like he was made out of bronze, and he took me on this trip all around the city and around the temple, and he was giving measurements to me, and he said, now remember all these measurements. And he measured every single thing there was: a window, a door, the thickness of the walls, and this went on and on and on forever. And then he said, okay, now here's what you're going to do. You're going to tell the people how they're going to worship again, and how to do their sacrifices and make their offerings to God. And it just goes on and on like that. And then he took me just outside the temple, and there's this river flowing from the temple, and it's going out into the world. And wherever it goes, whatever other waters it touches, there all of a sudden there's all these fish for fishermen to catch, and there's an abundance of life. And okay, so there's that prophecy of some guy who looks like he's a bronze statue. Okay, taking him on a trip and giving him measurements and telling him how to do worship. So, okay, you got the four things. Which one of these fours is a prophecy, a vision that Ezekiel had to give to the people? Was it that great cloud that had the 4 living creatures in it? Was it a figure that looked like it was human, but he was really standing on fire, and showed where the secret wall was in the temple, secret passageway? Was it God setting Ezekiel down in a valley and had all these bones laying everywhere that he had them bring back to life? Or was it a man who shone so brightly you could have sworn it was just a bronze statue with the sun shining off of it, but then he goes on a field trip with Ezekiel, giving him all the measurements of the city and the temple and blah, blah, blah. Okay? Which one of those 4 do you think Ezekiel saw? What was his vision? Well, the answer is all 4. Yeah, go ahead, read the book of Ezekiel. It is absolutely mind-boggling. But all 4 of those, one of them comes in the 1st chapter, the next one comes in the 8th chapter, the one we're going to deal with this Sunday is the 37th chapter, and then finally the 40th chapter. Now, from chapters about 36 on to the end, these are the words of hope, and that's what we have with this valley of the dry bones. This is a metaphor for the people of Judea, God's people, all of Israel. They've been carried off into captivity now in Babylon. They've lost everything that's so important to them. They've lost their land. They've lost their temple. They've lost their monarchy. It's all gone. The people are without hope. They've basically given up. And what God is telling Ezekiel is prophesy to these people in exile, saying, it's not over, folks. I will breathe new life into you, and there will be a future hope. So don't give up. Just hang in there. Oh, yeah, and by the way, this is all your fault anyhow. Don't forget that, because you were rebellious and sinful and didn't listen to me. But I still love you. I still care about you. So I am going to bring life to you again. And isn't that the message that we proclaim as Christians? You know, hey, we've really messed up, but God still loves us. In fact, God so loved the world, as we read in the Gospel of John a couple weeks ago, that he gave his only begotten Son. Yeah, God doesn't give up on us no matter what. No matter how far we stray from him, no matter how bad the circumstances might be that we now find ourselves in, which for a good deal of the time is something we've brought on ourselves, the consequences of our action, but not always. Not always. There's people that were swept away in that exile that had probably nothing to do with the sorry situation they were in, and yet God looks upon them as he looks upon all of us in love. All right, my challenge for you is to go back and read all these wild and crazy visions, and you'll know you're getting to a vision, at least the beginning of each vision, when you see and you hear Ezekiel saying, the hand of the Lord was upon me. And just think about this big giant hand coming down on you. Yeah, the hand of the Lord is upon me. Okay, God's blessings be with you, and enjoy your day. We're going to have a slight warm up before it gets cooler again for a couple days. But hey, it's that time of year where the weather can get a little crazy, up and down, up and down. But spring has sprung.